in the game on each
Hello,
sideline
welcome
today,
back
and
to
they
another
could be the difference
not
makers.
draft player analysis. Haven't done one of those in a while. This is season predictions for the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year Philly had a not good season. I'm pretty sure they held a top 10 pick regardless of their trade, and then traded up to number 2 to take Carson Wentz. So Philly has a new head coach. Has an issue with the quarterback position, issue with the secondary, and kind of a problem at running back because Darren Sproles is very old.
And that's the type of run I think this offense would take all game
So,
long, Phil.
Eagles last season were
this is showing your dominance here. The offensive line doing a good
6-10,
job, but also a solid job
something
by the
like
running
that.
back picking up some good yards.
Made by
So,
Baldwin that time.
with a new head
All
coach,
the
let's
way,
see
third
how
down.
I personally believe Philadelphia Eagles season will turn out. Let's start with the win, starting with week 1 against Cleveland.
Griffin's gonna take
Again,
it from
if
the
you haven't
gun.
seen the Cleveland video, go watch it.
To Hartline.
But Cleveland's not a very good football team, and they are not going to accomplish much. Then, entering their bye week, the Eagles will be 1-2.
Graham's there that time.
And their next win will come against the Atlanta Falcons. I think that Philly will hit their stride a little bit at this point and get an upset against Atlanta. Mostly because the Atlanta pass rush isn't very good, so I feel like they have a chance of moving the ball pretty well against a weak Atlanta pass rush and a okay Atlanta secondary. But Atlanta also has the offense that they have, so
on that play.
that could be a big
Third
determining
down
factor.
and 6. Brandon Graham has the sack.
Their next win will come against the Baltimore Ravens. Actually, no, it is not going to come against the Baltimore Ravens. You know what? I'm going to think twice about that one. I did this a little while ago. I was a little biased. No, the Ravens are going to get that win. I'll talk about that later. But they will beat the New York Giants.
Forcing the opposition to start the next
So,
drive inside the 10.
Rivalry game. Giants defense, again, brand new unit, but I personally think that
Matthews is going to take the handoff now.
I think Eagles offense will beat out a Giants defense. Neither team will be competing for a playoff spot at this point, so I say that the Eagles will take the win against the Giants in mostly a pride game.
The Eagles on offense here to start the second quarter.
So that's it. That Eagles will end the season with 3 wins. I will get to my reasoning on why they win after I go through the losses, starting with Chicago in week 2.
Matthews takes his
I think
spot in
Chicago's
the backfield.
offense will be a bit too much for
Locked in on
the
football
weak
and
Eagles
has
secondary
hold
to
of it with
handle.
2 hands. That's his
The
first
reason I didn't give this game
reception
to
today.
Atlanta is I felt that Philly's offense has a chance to keep up with Atlanta's because of the lack of pass rush in Atlanta and a chance to develop a solid running game.
They pick up solid yards. Good job by them.
And that's a 2-yard gain.
Next, Pittsburgh. Again, I feel like Philly's defense cannot handle Pittsburgh's offense, and I feel like their offense also will have a bit of trouble moving the ball, at least on the ground.
27. Matthews with the reception. The Eagles now move the
So
chains.
again, they will enter bye week at 1-2. Their next loss, again, Detroit. Kind of the same deal with all these other ones. Detroit passes the ball a lot. And although they don't have Calvin Johnson anymore, I don't think they really need him to capitalize on the fact that the Eagles defense has very little in the terms of the secondary. Next loss, Washington. Washington finally has a consistent, solid quarterback they can trust, being Kirk Cousins. Drafted Josh Doxson. Kind of the same deal with all these other teams. Washington's going to pass the ball a lot, and they're going to succeed in it.
Tight end close. Sometimes that doesn't matter. They're so big and they got long arms.
Next,
they can still make
Minnesota.
Quarterbacks give them a chance. They get it done.
Minnesota overall, they have a pretty decent offensive line unit now. They rebuilt that from the ground up. So they'll be able to overpower a pretty decent, front seven for Philly. I'll give them that. But again, Teddy Bridgewater's arm is going to make the difference in this game. And Laquan Treadwell and Stephon Diggs will combine to have a very good game.
This tight end's very talented. He's a good run
Next
blocker
loss,
and
Dallas.
also a good receiver.
Again,
Makes a nice
Philly
catch on
doesn't
that
have
throw.
a cornerback or defensive back even who can cover Des Bryant.
First down at the 34.
Or Jason Witten even for that matter.
Matthews on the screen. And Hayden's all
So
over
again,
that
I think Dallas
offense
has
and
a
brings
great day
it down.
passing it.
Quarterback should have never thrown at that time, even though he completes the pass.
Then
he should have seen the
their
defense
loss to
right
a
there.
Giant.
A loss of a couple
I
yards.
say Odell Beckham will have a huge game, and Philly will just be able to won't be able to move the ball against the Giants defense at this point.
That time the quarterback throws the drag route. It
Then
doesn't
the
get
Atlanta
first
win,
down, but still
followed
good
by the
decision
Seattle
by him.
loss. Seattle's
The
going
throw
to
was
be a
right on
top
target,
team in the
and he picked
NFL
up
again.
solid yards.
I say they're going to be a top 10 team, and for good reason. The team defensively is still one of the best, and offensively they're still improving steadily.
Eagles go with the pass that
Even
time
with
on
the
third
loss
short.
of
The defense was ready, and they
Marshawn
stopped
Lynch,
the
I
pass.
still
Now
feel
we
like
have
the
a fourth
team
down
is going to
situation.
continue to
It's a
improve.
two tight end formation. The Eagles snap it.
Next,
at the 26.
Green Bay.
And Matthews is
Aaron
able
Rodgers
to
throws
move
the
the
football.
chains here as he's tackled down.
That's all I
Best way
really
to
have
keep
to
the other
say.
offense, on the sidelines is just keep
Cincinnati,
marching down the field and picking up
even
those
with,
first downs. What a good
again,
job
the
by
Phillies
offense.
front and seven being
Eagles to
somewhat
the 22.
decent,
Josh
they,
calls it in. Williams gonna make the tackle.
I don't think they'll be able
Eagles call
to
a timeout. Their
generate
first.
enough
Play number
to
12
stop
coming up for
a
the offense.
solid Cincinnati running game and a decent
That was
passing
a big
attack.
gainer. Now it's time
And
to
also,
back it up.
again, Philly's offense
Bradford's
is nothing to
back in
write home
shotgun
about. So
formation.
I feel like that is a
Over
unit
the
that will
line.
struggle greatly.
Touchdown. Phil, they have the lead
Then
now here late in the
The
second,
loss
thanks
to
that
Washington,
touchdown, and they
same as the
should have
first
it, in
time.
fact,
They'll
when we
pass
go
the
to
ball a lot.
intermission.
Now
And
you're
they'll do
seeing
it
the
pretty
future, huh? So
easily.
you know those things. No, I'm just kidding, of course, Jim. Like to have a
Then
little fun with
they
you
lost to
every once in a
Baltimore.
while, but
I don't
hey,
know why I
nice
had this a
job
win
by
for
the
Philly.
offense.
I was
That
just
puts
being
them in
biased.
A great frame of mind going into halftime here soon.
Baltimore,
The Browns are back deep, ready to return.
a superior team. In more ways than one, I say offensively Baltimore,
No return here.
although they
This will
don't
be
have
coming out to the 20.
a
The
great
Browns
number of
stalled on their
offensive
last
weapons.
drive, forced to punt. So now the offense comes back out onto the field.
Baltimore
Yeah,
has an
they're coming back
opportunity
out. They
to
lack
run the ball well
confidence,
and
I
also
understand
pass the
why.
ball
They
very
came
well.
out,
Joe
couldn't get
Flacco,
anything done. The defense was
although he isn't
flying
elite,
around, making
is
the
a
plays. They gotta
solid,
change the tempo
good
of this game.
quarterback. And they will end the season with a loss to Dallas.
That'll bring us to the end of the
For the
second
same reason as the
quarter
first
here
one,
on
they
the
don't have
banks of
anyone on
Lake Erie,
defense to
and we'll be
cover,
back
Des
following the
Bryant
break
or
for the start of the
many
second
people
half.
at all.
All right, Larry, thank you for that from the studios.
So,
and halftime, we're gonna
at 3 and
transition
13,
now.
the
We're
Eagles
about to get the third
surprisingly
quarter
will not have the
underway.
first overall pick. But
And the tackle
they'll be
is
up there
made
in the top
right
5.
around the 25-yard line.
The reason I say Philly goes 3 and 13, I've mentioned it throughout the video.
The Browns with a nickel
Offensively,
look here
this
on
team is going to
defense.
struggle.
Bradford's
They have no
got it in
identity
the
at
gun.
quarterback. Sam Bradford,
Breaks
he
free.
doesn't want to be there.
Gains 11.
He's pissed off. They told him he's going to be the starter, all
That's
that
what
stuff.
you want to do.
Bradford
Get a
doesn't wanna
first
be
down
there,
while you're
so
on top
he
and
is-
keep that clock moving and just control
They
the
obviously don't
football
trust
game.
him, so the
Good
first
job by
chance
the
they get,
offense.
I feel like they're going to
Managing
try
it so
and
far here
drop
today.
him.
The Eagles
Carson Wentz
snap
is a
it at the
rookie.
36.
He has really no idea what he's going to be doing, especially coming from
Ford
a
in on the tackle.
FCS team or
Well,
FBS
they
team.
complete the pass, Jim, but doesn't get the first down. Sooner or later, you got to throw one
FCS,
down
I
the
don't know.
field.
Whichever one's not
Bradford's completion
like
percentage,
Division 1,
80%
Tier 1
on the
college
day.
football.
For this play,
So
they'll
I
go
still
with two
believe that
tight
he
ends,
has to adjust to the game
and that picks up 3.
a bit more. And Chase Daniels has never been a starter, and I don't think that starts anytime soon. So Chase Daniels will also probably struggle if it comes down to it. Defensively, they have a solid front seven, but after that, their secondary is weak. They don't have anyone who I believe is I don't think anyone they have starting deserves to be a #1 defensive back. Their best defensive back is their safety, Malcolm Jenkins, I think it was. Let me check so I don't look stupid. Come on. Come on, game.
The Eagles offense, they know.
Okay. So, this part didn't happen. Just pretend this isn't happening. Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins. He's their best player on at defensive back, and he's a safety. He's not going to get too many one-on-one opportunities with receivers. So let's move into my bold predictions. Bold predictions, I do one for every position group: quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Sometimes that will include the tight end. Technically, tight end is pretty much wide receiver at this point, as tight end becomes less and less about blocking and more about getting great, plays from these big targets. So if I think of a good one, I'll just knock through a receiver one. Defensive linemen, linebackers, and defensive back. I don't do offensive linemen. It's hard to do it without a position that has little to no stats. So it's hard to kind of make a prediction on something like that. And kickers / punters, because I can just easily say he makes 40 kicks this season and he's there.
He'll take the snap, the first here in the fourth quarter.
So let's start with the quarterback position. I say every single quarterback, all three quarterbacks that the Eagles, are making a deal about, Chase Daniels, Sam Bradford, and Carson Wentz will all start at least one game this season. Whether it be Sam Bradford getting hurt, getting benched for Chase Daniels or Carson Wentz. And same thing, where Wentz gets hurt, gets benched for Chase Daniels. I say all three of them will start at some point this season.
Bradford's gonna take the snap from the shotgun.
At running back, neither running back on the Eagles offense has over 700 yards rushing. Darren Sproles is getting older. I don't think that he can be, their #1 running back. And although Ryan Matthews is good, I feel like he is more of a role player at running back. But again, Ryan Matthews can prove me wrong and have a fantastic season.
A lot of credit there, don't you, Jim? They are all over the receivers, all over the field, nowhere to throw it, and it just results in an incompletion.
Next, wide receiver. All the receivers on the Eagles, except for one, have at least 800 receiving yards. I say Josh Huff is the only receiver on that team who doesn't get over 800 receiving yards.
Should have had it, but the hit knocked it out.
And I will say
that was a big hit by the defender that time. The receiver drops the football. I'll tell you what, I guarantee the next time he goes over the middle, he'll be looking for that defender.
I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. I forgot. I say
10. Barnage with the reception. And he gains
I say Jordan Matthews will lead all of their receivers with 1,100.
Even though the offense is down here in the fourth quarter, they throw it short. That was
Next,
a smart play.
Defensive lineman. I'm going to say Fletcher Cox misses the Pro Bowl. I say he will have a down season in what I think is his contract year, and will miss the Pro Bowl completely.
Good job that time moving the chains, picking up that first down. And Jim, of course, there's no time to panic in a situation
Linebackers,
like
I say Connor Barwin will lead all players in the NFC East. Again, just to clarify, within that division, Connor Barwin will lead all players with sacks with 13.5.
You're watching the NFL on EA Sports. Just
Then,
about 2 minutes to
defensive
go,
back.
and the defense knows
No
it
one
needs to
on
make
the
one
Eagles will
last
set
stop
a
to end
new
it.
NFL record for
in the
least
shotgun
interceptions
formation.
in a single season
Room to work.
with
Has
less than
12
10.
on this play. Third down
I don't know
coming
what the
up,
record is.
needing a first
I'm
at
assuming
this
it's like
point.
less than 10. It has to be.
Good job by the offense going the
That's
hurry
pretty
up
bad for an
offense. You do
entire
this to
team.
get the plays in, but also you
But
wanna
whatever the
conserve
record is,
timeouts.
they'll have less than
And
that.
that's a gain of 13. Just when it looked like the defense had
So,
figured out a way to stop
The
this
Eagles,
offense,
last
well,
place in the
they give
NFC
up the
East, will end up
conversion,
being
and
3-13
now backs to the wall.
with a top
All
5
right, well,
draft
it's
pick.
not over. The defense has got to let that go. They gotta
And
swell up,
again,
get
this
tough,
is
and get
my
this job done
thoughts.
now.
Griffin
I don't
from
really
the gun.
mind if the Eagles ended up proving me wrong and having a phenomenal breakout, 14-win season. But
First down.
you have to look at it from the perspective that this team really has no clue what they want to do at quarterback, and they don't have a very good secondary. So even if they did make a surprise playoff run, how far would that, bring them?
Much better chance in a hurry-up offense of trying to score in these
So
situations.
coming up next will be the
It's a
Atlanta
nice play that
Falcons,
time by the
I
defense.
believe.
The offense is inside
If you're
your red
wondering,
zone. You
I'm
gotta
going
stop
to
them
save
from
the
scoring.
the
That was a good
49ers
job
till
of
the
swatting
end,
football away.
since they're not technically the letter.
Goal
So
from the 4.
the San Francisco 49ers will
Brings
be
it
the
in
last
for the
team I do.
score in the end zone. There's still plenty of time left on that clock, but the offense finishes
So,
off the
next will
drive
be the
with a
Atlanta
touchdown
Falcons.
pass, and now it's gonna be up
Last
to the
season,
defense to
Atlanta
hold
had
up and
a
force overtime.
average at
Yeah,
best
it was an awesome
season,
job by
starting
the
6-1,
offense, getting
ending
that
at
touchdown,
8-8.
Kevin, you're right. The defense, they
And
gotta
we'll
get
see
psyched
if
up
they
here
can improve.
and come out and do their part and stop the
But
opponent's offense.
for
It's
now,
as tight
this
as
is
it
Jay
can be.
Wax,
The game all square in the final
signing
moments.
off.
Yeah, when the game gets in this situation, Jim,